It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. As you can see, it's not just Alan and I today. Alan, we got some Iowa influence on the show. Obviously, the Steelers draft heavily Iowa influenced, and you were in charge of getting today's guest. So why don't you go ahead and introduce Tom to the people?
Yeah, Tom from On3 covers the Iowa Hawkeyes at HawkeyeScoop.com, is it? Did I get that right?
Hawkeye Report.
HawkeyeReport.com, sorry.
Yeah, Hawkeye
and
Report.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Happy to talk about three good players, and I'll probably throw in a little love for my guy Logan Lee, who's from my home area. So
there you go.
Here we go.
Got a lot of Hawkeyes over there.
For sure.
Yeah, and the best thing about it is they don't change uniform color. Is the best thing about it. So
I don't know if you guys know this story, but back in 1979, when Hayden Fry, legendary coach, came down to the University of Iowa, that was the heyday of the steel curtain and everything, and he wanted to. Iowa had losing seasons for 18 straight years, and he wanted to instill some confidence in the program and kind of emulate the Steelers. So he patterned the uniforms after the Pittsburgh Steelers in that steel curtain years.
Yeah, it's always a good joke when the Steelers draft an Iowa player and someone posts the picture and says, "Here's my Photoshop of what Kaleb Johnson's going to look like in a Steelers." It's just same old. Let's start with Kaleb Johnson. Obviously, an electric running back. For me, I thought I was a little bit surprised that he fell to the Steelers in the third round. I thought that was someone they were going to have to move. The Steelers didn't have a second-round pick. They were going to have to move up into the second round to get him. What do you make of his draft day and the fit with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, it seemed like maybe his 4.57 kind of knocked him down a little bit. Had he run, lower in the 4.5s or 4.4-ish, he was probably second-round pick. But he is he had one of the best seasons. There are two guys that come to mind, him and Sean Green, since I've been covering the team. That have been like the two best backs. Green won the Doak Walker Award. If Ashton Jeanty didn't exist, I think Kaleb Johnson might have won the Doak Walker this year at 21 touchdowns, which was a school record for a single season, topping what Sean Green did in 2008. He's a big-time home run hitter, bit of a long strider, one-cut guy, but when he's deceptively fast because it doesn't look like he's going exceptionally fast. But boy, when he hits that green space, I haven't seen him get caught. And I'll give you guys a great example. The end of the year, the Nebraska game, and Iowa's offense was not going well. Their quarterbacks were hurt, and it was a slog. Friday after Thanksgiving game, and he catches a little swing pass and breaks probably 3 tackles all at once and scores a touchdown in the game, and Iowa wins that game, forcing a Nebraska turnover late to kick a game-winning field goal. And I've covered Kirk Ferentz for 20-plus years, going on 24 years now, and he is not one for hyperbole, not one for saying crazy things, and he flat out said it's one of the greatest plays he's ever seen by an Iowa football player, that play against Nebraska. And that just tells you the capabilities of Kaleb Johnson. And I'll tell you what, guys, last year coming into the season, I wouldn't have predicted it because he was kind of in the doghouse a little bit with his teammates and, the coaches a little bit. But Liddell Betts, who's now the Giants running back coach, had a long talk with him, and it just seemed to turn things around for Kaleb. And he was a different guy by midseason, and you could just tell he had reached that maturity that you needed, because the talent was always there. You guys see the talent, it's natural ability, but his performance wasn't matching that. His maturity wasn't matching that, and now he's got the whole package, and I think he's going to be great for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
4
talking
yards a
to Al
carry.
about obviously. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it was 4 yards a carry in 2023, up to 6.4 this year. That was pretty remarkable difference, and I think that's one of the reasons that he got a bigger role, but like he was so much better this year. I think that's a great point.
You know, when we were talking about it, just in terms of like the fit specifically for the Steelers, one of the best fits. We knew they were going to take it back at some point in this draft, but if you just look at what Arthur Smith wants to do in just a running back that you can just drop into place and say this is the best possible fit for them, Kaleb Johnon was kind of that guy for me. Had no clue if he would get to the spot for the Steelers to be able to select him, but made all the sense in the world if he did. You mentioned the speed, and I think that was a concern of a lot of people within the fan base, like people just trying to draw comparisons to Najee Harris and stuff like that. I think, obviously, I think the top end speed is there. I think he hit 22 miles per hour on a carry last year. I saw. So like we know that top end speed is certainly still there. I don't know about the down to down consistency in terms of that, but obviously, like I wouldn't say that that's necessarily what he predicates his game on anyway. I think you see the vision that he plays with, the patience, the really good footwork, his elusiveness in space. Like I just think his ability to create for himself is why we talk about this player and the accolades that he was able to accomplish at Iowa. But Tom, could you speak at all to like why you think it will be such a good fit for the Steelers?
Yeah, I think that Arthur Smith offense is a good fit, and I'm glad you brought up the patience that he plays with, because he is an extraordinarily patient running back who will wait for the hole. And I think that was one of the big things that he did this year, was he got to be more patient instead of running into things. He waited and waited. And he's not going to be like Le'Veon Bell kind of level of waiting for a hole, but few are. But it's something that I think really developed for him. And here's the other thing, guys. He's big. He's like 6', 6'1" probably. And he's got a big frame. I mean, he's a workhorse type back that you can give it to 25 times a game, and he's just going to keep going. So he's not one of those, smaller backs that you'll see sometimes where 5'8", 5'9", and more of a bowling ball. He's a big angular back. He can catch passes too. I think that's one of the areas he really improved in this past year, was as a receiver as well, and a blocker. So I think he's a great get for Pittsburgh. I think the city of Pittsburgh is going to love him. He's a Steeler type player that just likes to deliver the punishment and run hard and play tough, hard-nosed football.
One of the things that really stands out to me about the similarities is, two offenses that don't really throw the ball a lot or particularly efficiently, a lot of playing two tight ends and inviting extra defenders into the box. And then, I think that sometimes success in that area is like difficult to project if you haven't seen them do it. Like the Steelers kind of learned with Najee Harris. He's a different running back when he has the Alabama offensive line carving gigantic holes than what he had in Pittsburgh. I think it's a lot easier to look at what Kaleb Johnon did in Iowa and said, yeah, that'll work in the Steelers scheme with the Steelers line, because it's not, it's not like Iowa. I mean, I think he had a good offensive line, but it's not like
it was good.
The 5 All-Americans there in front of him, and he's doing a lot of creating his own holes there.
Absolutely, and he's going up against teams that know he's coming. That's the play. Caleb's getting the ball, and they're going to have to stop him. And he made it tough to stop and run through tackles, breaking tackles, 20-plus yard runs were just areas where, I mean, it was ridiculous. Every week we'd be like, okay, there he goes. He just hits that corner, and it's just a little crease, and off he's off to the races. And that was against some good defenses last year that he performed very well.
Yeah, and obviously all the loaded boxes that he was running into as well. We see a lot of Kaleb Johnon. Obviously, that's the one we wanted to mainly talk about here, but that didn't stop there for the Iowa connections to the Steelers in this draft. Yahya Black, the defensive lineman, they added as well. Was a name that we talked about quite a bit, actually, was a pre-draft visit, so those are always a big thing for the Steelers. We got to keep our eyes on. But Tom, what are we getting in Yahya Black? The type of player that he can be? Do you think that he's got more versatility than he showed at Iowa? Can he move around the defensive line at all? Do you think he's strictly a nose, or what are we getting there?
He is big, and I'm going to tell you, he's big. He's like a 6'5", 325, but you don't even see it on him because he's just so big. He looks like an athlete and not just kind of just this big dude. He's legit gigantic player. In Iowa's system, he doesn't get a lot of glory. He's taken on 2 blocks to free things up for a linebacker to come. So he's not going to get a bunch of sacks or tackles or anything like that, but he's going to eat up space and free things up for linebackers and safeties to come down and make plays against offenses. So he's a really good athlete. And that's one thing I think that gets lost about him. Coming out of high school, he was a very good basketball player too. Played some high-level AAU teams and stuff like that. So he is underrated for his athleticism. I thought he really developed the last 2 years. Early in his career, he was one of those guys that it was always injured. He just not in uniform. I think it was 1 year. He may have slipped in the shower or something and gotten in camp or something and gotten hurt his back or something. I think it was redshirt freshman year maybe. But he's finally gotten over all those things, and he put together 2 really strong years for the Hawkeyes at defensive tackle. And he's a steal. He is an absolute steal. He's going to come in there. He's just going to eat space. He and Logan Lee played next to each other, by the way, for a year. So and they were very effective. So just something to watch. That there's going to be some good chemistry there between those 2.
Yeah, you mentioned you wanted to talk about Logan Lee a little bit as well. You mentioned he's from your hometown. Let's shine some spotlight on a guy that wasn't part of this draft class, but didn't play at all last year, so maybe could basically be included within the same group.
Yeah, and he's I'm from the Quad Cities area and Davenport, Bettendorf, and he's from a small town called Orion, Illinois, and he's farm boy. I mean, just classic farm boy kind of guy. Just big, country strong, tough, hard nosed. Always going to keep coming. I know he had some injuries last year that kept him off the field, but you'll never get a lack of effort from Logan Lee when he's out there. And I'm really intrigued to see if they can pair him up with YA and do some things with those 2, since they are so comfortable and familiar with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan, anything to add there?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting concept, is just trying to get teammates and putting people together. And Logan's got a dogfight, man. There's going to be some serious competition on that defensive line. They added Derek Harmon, first-round pick from Oregon. They brought in free agent Daniel Ekwale from the Patriots. So they're kind of loaded on the defensive line. It's going to be one of the more entertaining camp battles. There's about 4 guys, I'd say, competing for 2 spots there. Logan's one of them. The last guy I want to talk about before we let you go is a player that I was kind of high on in this process, ends up joining the Steelers as an undrafted free agent, and that's Sebastian Castro. Probably a little bit undersized as a strong safety, but I was pretty surprised to see him available as the 7th round ended. Steelers have a need there. Picked up what I think is a pretty good player.
He's really good football player. I'll tell you what, the end of the 2023 season, last like 6 weeks of that season, Sebastian Castro was playing as well as any defensive player in the country. I talked to one of the Iowa coaches towards the end of the season, and I invoked the name of Bob Sanders with the way he was playing, because it reminded me of Bob Sanders. It was incredible how fast he was playing, and how with like that reckless abandon that Bob Sanders played with. And we're familiar with Bob because Bob played at the University of Iowa, so we can talk about him.
Bob's from Erie, Pennsylvania. We're familiar with him too.
Bob is from Erie. Erie Cathedral Prep, coached by Joe Moore up there. But he was playing at an incredibly high level at the end of that season, and just so disruptive and just destroying. I mean, there's some highlights of him against Nebraska where he just took on two guys and just destroyed both of them at once. I mean, I couldn't believe how well he was playing. Came back for an extra year, and I thought at times he just, I don't know, I don't want to say he played safe, but he just didn't have that same burst to him this past year. But I'm hoping he gets that back, and I'm hoping he finds that extra gear again, because he could be really fun for you guys, because he's just a weapon, because he'll fly around. He's going to be a great special teams player if he makes the roster, and a guy who can come in and potentially help the team later down the road.
So he has a heck of an opportunity in front of him when you look at like three safeties. Could get all their contracts within the next year, with Thornhill and Deshaun Elliott only under contract for this year. A lot of stuff with Minka Fitzpatrick up in the air. The unfortunate retirement of Ryan Watts so early in his career. So like he's got an ample opportunity in front of him, like as good as a shot as I would say for a UDFA to make this roster. I don't know if Alan agrees with that sentiment, but that's certainly how I feel.
They played him at kind of they called it the cash position, which is kind of a nickel in the pros, but it's kind of Amari Hooker's played that position. Dane Belton for Iowa. They have all played that position and had great success with it. Or it's more of a safety defensive back that plays up on the line of scrimmage more, and in the place of a linebacker. So that's where he was just so good at, and I'm guessing that's probably something where like Minka Fitzpatrick probably plays something like that for the Steelers.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see how he kind of blends in, but yeah, it'll be fun. But yeah, go ahead, Al.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you don't have anything else, we could get Tom out of here. But appreciate the conversation, Tom. It was great information for our listeners, our viewers, and I'm sure just like me, they're going to want to find more of your work. So tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, go to HawkeyeReport.com and maybe you'll see me writing about some future Steelers. I did a whole thing about guys who could go in the 2026 draft. So maybe if
history tells us any indication, they're going to take one of those guys at the very least in 2026.
Got to keep that connection going.
It's not a quarterback the Steelers fans want to hear about it right now. That's it. It's got to be. They're only interested in quarterback.
The Pittsburgh Hawkeyes or the Iowa City Steelers. I don't know what we'll call them.
Yeah.
So, but we'll figure it out.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, we appreciate it. Great conversation, like I said, and good stuff. We hope you take care.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
There we go. Thanks again to Tom.
That was awesome.
Follow him. We'll put the stuff in the description of the show, where to find his stuff and everything like that. But yeah, real conversation, good information on the players. Seems like he maybe feels like there maybe is more to tap into with Yahya Black along the defensive line.
Yeah, he got me excited about Sebastian Castro. I can't say I watched like a ton of Iowa defense this year, but like, man, I think he's a good player. Smitty, you got clobbered by the Storm right before we started, and like in the middle of that conversation, it made it here. It's traveled from Beaver County to Westmoreland County in the span of the start.
Definitely
of the show.
we're fighting it.
But the internet over here.
All right, well,
bit spotty. We're doing
let's
all right.
Hope that it can give us about 7 to 10 more minutes. Internet, with us.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
We got a question from Yinzer that we want to get to for sure. Tweeted you.
Oh yeah.
You know what? My guy, he follows me, interacts with me all the time on there, but for whatever reason, I don't know if he was looking for this to be a morning rush topic or what, but only tagged you in this tweet. He said, "Can the Steelers compensatory picks change based off play time or departed players, or are they set in stone as of today based off the contracts alone?"
A good question. And no, they will change. The formula is salary and playing time. So right now, we only know salary, and we don't even know salary in every case. So like Najee Harris and Russell Wilson both have significant bonuses into their contracts. They have, and so any bonus or anything like that is earned in the first year of the contract counts against the compensatory pick formula. So like Najee Harris, his contract could be $4.5 million or it could be $9 million. So like when the Chargers drafted Amari and Hampton, that actually really hurt his ability to improve the comp pick that the Steelers are getting for him. Same thing when the Giants draft Jackson Dart. Now, like, how much is Russell Wilson going to be able to? I mean, I think he probably has a better chance to play out the year, but it's not. It's the playing time, but it's also how their playing time impacts what they earn. Sometimes those things are related too. So those picks could change wholesale between now and the start of in the end of the 2025 season, and they won't be finalized until next spring.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the quarterbacks, right? They're the ones that have the most variance. They have the highest escalators of what those could be. Like if they hit like everything that they could, right? If Justin Fields and Russell Wilson both hit everything they possibly could incentives wise, the Steelers could have 2 extra third-round picks based off that.
I think Wilson's would be hard to get to a third, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They both have some pretty good incentive. I think Justin Fields is pretty much, I don't know how much he has incentive wise. His will just be playing time because it's going to calculate your playing time based on your playing time before. So he didn't play that much this year, right? So like if he plays 17 games, he will be more valuable than they are figuring he will play right now because he only played 6 games last year.
Okay.
On the flip side, if Russell Wilson only plays 4 games and then Jackson Dart starts the rest of the year, then he's not going to be worth as much as they think he's worth right
now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, one more thing that I for sure wanted to get to. This just comes from Berg Sports Fan. I see here scrolling down. Ollie's commenting on the channel as well, by the way. So definitely want to get to this one. Based off anything the Steelers did in the 2025 draft, did it change the way that you think that they'll approach the 2026 draft? Why or why not?
I do think specifically, like they passed on Jalen Milroe. They passed on Shedeur Sanders 3 times.
Yeah.
And then picking Will Howard, who is the closest thing you could have to Mason Rudolph, makes me think that when we start to look at 26 quarterbacks, we should be looking for big, tall pocket passers and not guys who run around.
Okay. Yeah, that hadn't even... I didn't know where you were going to go with that. I thought you were just going to say the idea, like, of course, we think that they're going to take their next shot on a potential franchise quarterback in 26. And I thought you were going like with the Will Howard as more of like the backup type ilk, like long-term of Mason Rudolph.
He is.
Yeah, that's kind of, but no, that's an interesting point too. Like maybe the type of quarterback we've been thinking about needs to change. Like I think that a lot of people, because of not only them going out and acquiring Justin Fields last year, and some people thinking like that was going to be a longer term thing, but hearing Mike Tomlin talk about quarterback mobility made us think that that was going to be something like that they really wanted within their starter.
Yeah, he certainly has talked about it a lot. He also played Russell Wilson over Justin Fields this year. They let Justin Fields walk over in money, $10 million or so. Yeah, I don't know. I think I got to be perfectly honest. I think the biggest thing, maybe even more than the archetype of quarterback, they got to get the personality right, man. Like things didn't go right with Kenny Pickett and the personality. It was reported that things didn't go well at the end with Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith. They got to find the right guy. And I think that's probably more important. But if all things are equal, I think they would prefer Drew Allard and Lenore Sellers to compare 2 players in the first round of this class. where like I get the feeling that guy who can really spin it is kind of more the priority than someone who can use their legs.
Okay, and stepping aside from the quarterback conversation, did anything else that they did maybe change how you feel about a group? Like, were you thinking, oh, they'll probably add an edge in 26, but then they draft Jack Sawyer, so that maybe changed your opinion on that or anything like that? I would say, I mean, chance to take a running back,
an outside corner. Yeah, not drafting an outside corner means like that almost becomes essential. It's sort of like quarterback corner 1-2 next year is like already predetermined. Just sort of like D tackle running back was this year.
Yeah. That's a fair point. Was there anything else here that I wanted to get to? Thomas Brocious. If Jack Sawyer opens a roster spot by being LB4 in special teams, how much does that extra roster spot matter? Do you think that enables the Steelers to put more emphasis on run stopping nose tackle instead of keeping one on the practice squad? How else do you envision them using that extra spot?
I don't think it's going to open a 53-man roster spot, but I think it saves a helmet on game day. And I do think it'll let them, like last year, they were pretty frequently picking between the fifth edge rusher and the sixth defensive lineman. And I think that will be something they can avoid because of Sawyer's ability to be the number 4 outside linebacker and a full face special team.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good stuff as we continue.
I want to touch. Did we talk about the rookie camp invites yesterday, or talk about rookie camp at all?
Really? Oh no, yeah, I don't think so. Just the UDFAs,
yeah. So rookie camp invites are starting to come out, and there's a couple really fun names on here that I just want to touch on. Look, rookie camp invites are like this is the way in the weeds. Like I think in the time I've been covering the Steelers, one guy has been a rookie camp invite who has played actual football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that was Duck. In terms of just tryouts. But there's just some interesting guys in this group that make me want to see what they're all about. And a couple of them I know what they're all about. Hollis Mathis was a quarterback at Penn Hills, went to William and Mary, was the third true freshman starting quarterback in William and Mary history, spent 4 years as a quarterback, including a couple redshirt years, and then moved to wide receiver in 2023, was the tribe leading wide receiver last year. That's an interesting guy. Little Antoine Randall L vibe. I can get down with that. Yeah. And then Dom Serapiglia from TJ was starting center for Central Michigan the last 2 years. Before that, it was Southeastern Louisiana. And one of the things I always look at when I'm doing these stories on these guys is I kind of take a look at the depth chart. And I'm like, well, how hopeless is the situation here? For this poor tryout who's coming in, there's an edge rusher here. I'm like, sorry, bro. It's just a defensive tackle. We talked with Tom about how stacked they are at D tackle. They bring in an undrafted guy from BYU. He's got a contract, and I don't feel good about him. But center, it's just kind of Zach Frazier and Ryan McCollum. They don't really have another true center on the roster. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, I saw that he also really liked the story that you wrote on the site about him today. So that's always cool.
I have to get Dom on the podcast here or something. That'd be good.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
And then Seth Morgan is quarterback from Mount Lebanon. Played 6 years of college football, 4 at VMI, 1 at Division II Shepherd. Shout out Tyson Bagent and Joey Fisher. Shepherd, West Virginia. And then 1 year at New Hampshire, the Fighting Gym Colonies, where he was pretty darn good. One of those no-star recruit kind of stories that shows up in an NFL uniform. So I covered a couple of those guys in high school way back in the day, so it's going to be kind of fun to see them at the facility next weekend.
Good stuff. Well, best of luck to them. Best of luck to everybody that's participating.
Tommy Smith from Rhode Island too. He plays wide receiver and fullback. I'm not quite sure what that looks like. He's from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
I never seen that combination before. So I'm curious to see what that looks like too.
Okay. All right. Well,
Rookie
good stuff. I'll be curious to hear about it as well.
And those guys don't try out. They're just it's a tryout. See what happens.
Okay, well, good stuff. On you, Joe. Tell the people they can find you.
A Saunders _PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now is the site's account. SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the words, so you get paid. Sign up for SN Plus, where you can read the words without any ads, which is a million bajillion times better. And also like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel so that we keep growing it. 15,600 and Josh Dobbs.
I will go Bruce Redkowski.
That's very yours is better than mine. That's very good. That's very good.
Ties to the football team and just the city in general.
There was a wide receiver in like training camp in like maybe the early 2000s who wore it. I can't remember what his name was. Deshaun Jameson wore it last year and as a cornerback, but Deshaun Jameson was a college wide receiver and also returns kicks. And he, in practice, the Steelers do this one-on-one tackling drill. It's like a hallway drill, right? Where like you either got to run them out of bounds or you got to get your hands on them. And there's a lot of leeway for the offensive player to make some moves. And a couple of the defensive players will try to run with the ball, and usually it does not go very well. Deshaun Jameson like took people's souls in that drill all year long. And I swear it was like more embarrassing because it was a guy in a gold shirt wearing 5. And they're like, what's happened? Like what happened to me?
Yeah.
What happened to me? Like, who is this guy? I mean, obviously they know who he is, but like it was fun to watch. Fun to watch. He's back. He's back.
Well, I hope
contract,
this episode
so
is fun to watch.
Couple
Oh, okay. All right. There we go. Once again, shout out to Tom of HawkeyeReport.com, part of On3, for joining the show. His stuff will be down below. Be sure to follow his work. Really good information regarding all the Iowa Hawkeyes that have since come over to the Pittsburgh Steelers within the last 2 years, including Logan Lee last year, getting into some conversation about him. But yeah, drop some comments down below, your thoughts on anything that we talked about, question for a future episode, all that good stuff. If you're listening somewhere else, leave us a 5-star review over there. Subscribe over there, whether it's Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from. Doesn't matter. You'll find us there. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing on TikTok, and then you'll find me everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH. For Alan Saunders and myself, jumping in and take another ride on Steelers Afternoon Drive.